Jake's party was wild, shrooms included. I crashed, missed my final. My parents cut me off. A co-worker promised a fix, but his contact knew something shocking. I fucked up big time. It all started last weekend in Austin, Texas, when my buddy Jake invited me to his house party. He promised it'd be epic, the kind of night you'd tell your grandkids about. I was a junior at the University of Texas, barely scraping by in my biology class, with a final exam looming Monday morning. I should have stayed home, nose in my textbook, but Jake's texts were relentless. Ethan, you gotta come. It's gonna be wild. My dumb ass thought I could handle a quick night out. Big mistake. I rolled up to Jake's place around 10 p.m. The house was pulsing music blasting, bodies packed wall to wall, red Solo cups everywhere. I stepped inside, and boom, there's a girl spinning on a makeshift pole in the living room, crowd cheering like it's a damn circus. Jake, grinning like a madman, shoved a bottle of glowing purple liquid in my face. Try this, man. It's the good stuff. I hesitated. It looked like something from a sci-fi movie, but peer pressure's a bitch. I took a swig. It burned, sweet and sharp, like candy laced with fire. Jake wasn't done. He pulled out a baggie of dried mushrooms, his eyes glinting. Want to hit the garage? Really trip out? I knew it was a bad idea. My exam was in 36 hours, but the vibe was electric, and I was already buzzing from that purple drink. Sure, I said, like an idiot. In the garage, we popped the shrooms. At first, it was fun colors swirling, Jake's laugh echoing like a cartoon. Then it hit me like a freight train. My heart raced. My chest tightened. I couldn't breathe. I was spiraling, hard. I collapsed on the garage floor, gasping. Some dude I didn't know started yelling, "He's freaking out!" Someone else, maybe Jake, tried chest compressions, like I was dying. My mind was a mess, but then, weirdly, it clicked. I'm Ethan. I'm in control. I can stop this. The panic faded, like flipping a switch. I stood up, feeling like a god. Nothing mattered. The exam? Screw it. I was untouchable. High on this weird clarity, I stumbled back to the party. The pole dancer was still going, and in my shroomed-out brain, I decided I could outdance her. I marched toward the living room, ready for my moment. Then, disaster. My foot caught a loose floorboard by the back door. I tripped, face planting into the wall with a sickening thud. Lights out. I woke up sprawled on the floor, head pounding, sunlight stabbing my eyes. My phone said 9:30 a.m. Monday. My final exam started at 9. My stomach dropped. I'd slept through the night, still in Jake's house, reeking of sweat and regret. My biology grade, my scholarship, my whole damn future. It was all circling the drain because I thought I could party and pass. Tifu, Reddit. Big time. My heart slammed against my ribs. It was 9:30 a.m., and my biology final at the University of Texas started 30 minutes ago. I was still at Jake's house in Austin, head throbbing, clothes reeking of last night's mistakes. I scrambled to my feet, the broken floorboard mocking me as I stumbled over it again. My phone was at 5% great. I zipped up my jeans, noticing one sneaker missing. Panic surged. I tore through Jake's trashed backyard, kicking over empty cups and beer cans. There it was, my shoe, half buried under a splintered plank. I yanked it on, not bothering to tie the laces, and bolted for the door. Outside, the Texas sun burned my eyes. I reached for my car keys. Gone. I peered through my car window, parked crookedly on Jake's lawn. There they were, glinting on the passenger seat, locked inside. My brain scrambled. Did I do that? No time to care. Campus was 2 miles away. I could still make it, maybe beg the professor for mercy. I started sprinting, my untied shoe flapping, lungs burning like I'd smoked a pack. Sweat stung my eyes. I dodged a skateboarder who yelled, "Watch it, dumbass!" A bus stop was 3 blocks away. If I caught the next one, I might shave off time. I pushed harder, legs screaming, but when I got there, the stop was empty. A guy in a cowboy hat leaned against a pole, smirking. "Bus is late. Accident on Lamar Boulevard." My stomach twisted. Of course, I fumbled for my phone to call an Uber. 1% battery. I found a driver, hands shaking as I tapped. The app demanded my credit card. I ripped open my wallet, cursing under my breath. As I typed the numbers, the screen went black. Dead. I stood there, panting. No car, no phone, no hope. I had no choice. I kept running, my ankle throbbing from the uneven pavement. A construction site loomed ahead. Orange cones scattered like a war zone. I tripped over a cracked sidewalk, crashing into the dirt. Mud smeared my shirt. My palms stung, scraped raw. I got up, limping now, every step shooting pain through my leg. Campus was close. I could see the clock tower. I checked my watch. 10:15 a.m. The exam would end soon. My chest tightened, not just from running, but from the dread sinking in. I reached the exam hall, a sweaty, muddy mess. The security guard, a burly guy with a clipboard, blocked the door. "You're late," he said, eyeing my filthy clothes. I begged, words tumbling out. "Please, I overslept. My car there was an accident." He didn't budge. "Cutoff was 10. You tracked mud in here." I kept pleading, voice cracking, but he pointed to the exit. Defeated, I shuffled out. The weight of my screw-up hit like a truck. I'd failed the exam, tanked my grade, and probably my scholarship. Back at my dorm, I called my parents in Houston. Big mistake. My dad's voice was ice. "You threw away $10,000 a year for a party?" My mom just cried, asking how I could be so reckless. They cut me off no more tuition money. I hung up, staring at the wall, my future crumbling. Tifu, Reddit, and now I was totally screwed. The fallout hit hard. After my parents in Houston cut me off, I was was on my own. No more $10,000 a year for tuition. No more safety net. I had to repeat my junior year at the University of Texas, and that meant finding a way to pay for it. I stayed in Austin, too stubborn to crawl back home. I needed cash, fast. So I did what any desperate 21-year-old would do. I got 2 jobs. By day, I flipped burgers at a greasy diner off 6th Street, dodging rude customers who yelled about cold fries. By night, I hauled boxes at a warehouse on the edge of town, my body aching with every step. The diner was chaos. The kitchen smelled like burnt oil and regret. Customers snapped at me like I'd personally ruined their day. "Where's my burger, kid?" a guy in a trucker hat barked, spitting crumbs. I gritted my teeth, forced a smile, and kept moving. The pay was $12 an hour, barely enough to cover rent. The warehouse was worse. 10-hour shifts, heavy crates, and supervisors who'd scream if you slowed down. My hands blistered. My back screamed, but I couldn't stop. Tuition was looming, and I was drowning. One night at the warehouse, I was stacking boxes in a dimly lit corner. My arms shook from exhaustion. I'd barely slept, running on cheap coffee and willpower. A pallet of crates wobbled above me. I didn't see it until it was too late. The stack tipped, crashing down. A sharp edge sliced my forearm, blood soaking my sleeve. I stumbled back, cursing, pain shooting through me. A coworker rushed over, yelling for the supervisor. They sent me to the ER, 5 stitches and a bandage later. I was back at work the next day. Couldn't afford to miss a shift. The physical toll was brutal, but the mental weight was heavier. Every night, I'd collapse in my tiny dorm room, staring at the ceiling. My parents' words echoed in my head. "You're a failure, Ethan," my dad had said, his voice cold as steel. My mom didn't even look at me during our last call, just sighed like I'd broken her heart. They'd always been strict, pushing me to be the perfect student. Now, they acted like I was a lost cause. It stung deep. I started to believe them, that I'd never climb out of this hole I'd dug. I barely slept. My days blurred into a cycle of grease, sweat, and pain. At the diner, I'd mess up orders, my mind foggy. At the warehouse, I'd drop boxes, earning glares from my boss. One night, I sat on my bed, counting my savings. $2,300, not even close to the $10,000 I needed for school. I felt like I was running in place, getting nowhere. The worst part? Every time I saw my parents' number on my phone, my stomach churned. I'd let it go to voicemail. "You need to learn your lesson," my dad's last message said. I deleted it, my chest tight. The exhaustion ate at me. My ankle, still sore from that sprint to campus, throbbed constantly. My arm, scarred from the warehouse accident, ached when I lifted anything heavy. I was falling apart, physically and mentally. Late at night, I'd lie awake, replaying that stupid party, Jake's purple drink, the shrooms, the pole dancer, how one night had turned my life into this nightmare. I wondered if I'd ever get back on track, or if this was it, flipping burgers and stacking boxes forever. Tifu, Reddit, and I was paying for it every damn day. I was at rock bottom, juggling 2 soul-crushing jobs in Austin, my arm still stinging from those warehouse stitches. Every day felt like a punishment for that stupid party. Then, something shifted. One night at the warehouse, I was on break, slumped on a crate, chugging lukewarm coffee to stay awake. A coworker, Mike, sat down next to me. He was older, maybe mid-30s, with a scruffy beard and tired eyes. I'd seen him around, but never really talked. He lit a cigarette, exhaled slowly, and said, "You look like you're carrying the world, kid." I shrugged, too drained to care. Mike didn't push. Instead, he started talking about his own life, said he'd been like me once, partied too hard, flunked out of college, ended up here, hauling boxes. "Messed up my shot at being a mechanic," he said, staring at the ground. "But life's funny. Sometimes it throws you a bone when you least expect it." His words hit me, maybe because I was desperate for anything resembling hope. I nodded, not sure what to say. He stubbed out his cigarette and walked off. I figured that was it. A week later, Mike found me again, this time in the warehouse parking lot. "You still trying to get back to school?" he asked. I nodded, bracing for a lecture. Instead, he pulled out his phone. "I got a buddy, Tom, who works in admissions at a community college in San Antonio. Might be able to help." I froze. Was this a joke? Mike saw my doubt and laughed. "I'm serious, Ethan. You're busting your ass. You deserve a shot." He gave me Tom's number, told me to call, and walked away. I stood there, clutching that scrap of paper, my mind racing. It sounded too good to be true. A random coworker hooking me up with a college connection. I'd been burned before Jake's party was proof. But what did I have to lose? I was barely scraping by, my savings stuck at $2,300, nowhere near the $10,000 I needed for UT. That night, I stared at my phone, debating. My dorm room felt smaller than ever, the walls closing in. Finally, I dialed Tom's number, half expecting a scam. Tom picked up, his voice calm and professional. I stammered through my story, the party, the failed exam, my parents cutting me off. He listened, didn't judge. "Send me your transcript," he said. "I'll see what I can do." I emailed it that night, my heart pounding. A few days later, Tom called back. He'd pulled strings at Alamo Community College. They had a program I could join, cheaper tuition, only $5,000 a year. I could start in the fall if I could cover the first semester. I sat on my bed, stunned. A second chance? Me? The guy who'd face planted into a wall after shrooms? I wanted to believe it, but doubt gnawed at me. What if I screwed this up too? My parents' voices echoed failure, reckless, disappointment. I pushed them down. Mike's words stuck with me. Life throws throws you a bone. This was mine. I thanked Tom, promised to make it work, and hung up. For the first time in months, I felt a spark of hope. Tifu, Reddit, but maybe I was about to unfuck it. I packed my bags and moved to San Antonio, trading Austin's chaos for a fresh start at Alamo Community College. The program was no Ivy League, but it was my shot to fix my screw-up. I kept my diner job, flipping burgers during the day, and added evening classes to my grind. The $5,000 tuition was a stretch, but I'd saved enough to cover the first semester. My body was still sore, my arm from the warehouse accident, my ankle from that doomed sprint. But for the first time, I wasn't just surviving. I was building something. Classes were tough. Biology again, plus math and English, felt like climbing a mountain with a backpack full of bricks. I'd work 8 hours, then sit in a lecture hall until 10 p.m., my eyes burning. But I studied hard. No parties, no Jake. My grades crept up B's at first, then a few A's. Each good mark felt like a small win, proof I wasn't the failure my parents thought. Still, their voices lingered. During a rare call, my dad said, "Don't mess this up again, Ethan." I hung up, my chest tight, but kept pushing. One day, I was at the diner, wiping down counters, when Jake walked in. I froze. I hadn't seen him since that night in Austin. He looked rough bags under his eyes, hair messy, like life had kicked him too. He ordered a coffee, then hesitated. "Ethan, man, I'm sorry about the party. I shouldn't have pushed you." I nodded, not sure what to feel. He told me he'd dropped out, working at his dad's garage in Dallas now. "Things went south after that night," he said, staring at his cup. I saw guilt in his eyes, but I didn't blame him. That night was my choice. Jake offered to help, said his dad's garage was doing okay, and he could spot me some cash. I was tempted, my bank account was still pathetic, but I said no. I'd learned relying on others got me nowhere. We talked a bit longer, catching up like old times, but it wasn't the same. He left, and I watched him go, realizing how far I'd come. I wasn't the guy who'd chugged purple poison and tripped over a floorboard anymore. I was different, focused. Back at school, I kept grinding. Late nights studying, early mornings at the diner. My professors noticed my effort, one even pulling me aside to say I had potential. Potential. That word hit hard. I hadn't heard it in a while. By the end of the semester, my GPA was solid, and I felt something new. Pride. Not the cocky kind from that party, but the kind you earn. I was still exhausted, still broke, but I was on a path. Tifu, Reddit, but San Antonio was where I started to fix it. Graduation day came. I stood in my cap and gown at Alamo Community College, gripping my diploma like it was a lifeline. I'd made it through, balancing diner shifts and late-night study sessions. My grades were solid, my future brighter, but it wasn't all rosy. My parents came, their faces a mix of pride and doubt. "Good job, Ethan," my mom said, her smile tight. My dad just nodded, like he was waiting for me to screw up again. Their words from Houston still stung failure. Reckless. We were distant. The trust fractured. I couldn't blame them. I'd given them reasons to doubt me. Still, I felt something new. Accomplishment. I'd taken Mike's second chance and run with it. That party in Austin, the purple drink, the faceplant, it all led here. I learned I wasn't defined by one mistake. I could rebuild. Standing there, diploma in hand, I knew I'd grown. Tifu, Reddit, but I clawed my way back. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine.